comic on stage, playing Buddy, Lil Rel Howery, as Mouser, Utkarsh Ambudkar, as Keys, Joe Keery, playing the dual role of Millie and Molotov Girl, Jodie Comer, and of course, our guy, the one and only Ryan Reynolds. How did you two come together on this project, and kind of how did the idea of Free Guy originate?
Well, I think, Sean and I had been wanting to work together for a long time. We'd kind of had a couple of really near misses. But it's one of those great lessons where you just don't close the door to somebody if you're not going to work together. Anyway, I read this script called Free Guy, and the first person I thought of said no. And the first person I thought of was this man right here, and I sent it over to Sean. He read it, and I think it was just like an hour later, you were like, I'm in.
Yeah, well, I like everybody in this room, I'm just a mad fan of Ryan Reynolds. I mean, the guy, and so as Ryan said, we came close to doing a few movies together in the past, and even though he broke my heart, I literally took all those feelings and just shoved them deep down inside, and it gave me a chance for this moment to happen.
When I describe the world of Free City to people, it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto meets Fortnite. You guys get those references? Some pretty major games. But it's not just the world of Free City that you've created. There's also the real world that you have as, its own visually distinct area. Talk to me, Sean, about kind of creating these two elements and having them work together.
Yeah, so it toggles back and forth between the real world and the world of Free City, which is the name of the video game in the movie. It's called Free City. And so we created some pretty strict rules for ourselves so that you guys as an audience would never be confused about which world you were in. So the world inside Free City is very saturated in color. The frames are clean and wide angle. We used a large format Alexa 65 to shoot with.
Some Alexa 65 fans out there.
Actually, and I know that Matthew Vaughn mentioned that Kingsman was they shot that using the same lenses as Lawrence of Arabia. Our lenses shot Fantastic Four as well, and they just killed. And actually, they never broke down once. Those can take a licking. I'll tell you that much. It was really great.
Yeah, so we use those cameras inside a video game, and then the real world is much more handheld. We shot it on a regular Alexa 35 with anamorphic lenses, and it's just messier operating, messier frames, because real life is messy, but the world inside the game is a little more aspirational, a little more heightened reality.
Yeah. Jodie, in this, you play two different versions kind of the same character as well. You have Millie, and then you have Molotov Girl, which is kind of your avatar within Free City. Talk about how you created these two versions of the same character to be pretty different from each other, but still have that same root base of being Millie.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of conversations with Sean at the start of this process, and I think the biggest thing for me was the physicality of her. Obviously, we had the help of the incredible hair and makeup department, but when we first meet Millie, she's quite defeated by the world, and her avatar, Molotov, is so empowered. So there's a real distinct difference in the way that they move. There's also an accent filter within the game, so they speak very differently, which you will hear. But what I thought was interesting was there's always an influence of Millie within Molotov. There's this kind of wish fulfillment that we live out, whether it be social media or through a video game. We create these avatars of a version of ourselves as how we would like to be perceived. So yeah, it was interesting to flip between the two of them.
Joe, I heard Ryan give you quite a compliment yesterday, which was that no one delivers exposition as eloquently as you do in this scene and in this movie.
He's very kind in saying so.
He delivers exposition better than anyone I've ever seen in my life. You make it like entertaining and riveting, all the while looking like a goddamn snack.
There we go.
Right?
I think that was one of the coming into the project. That was one of the parts that I was most excited about and nervous about. Just having to deliver all of this information and kind of the background of the game and sort of what had happened prior to the story starting. And it actually turned out to be one of my favorite parts about working on this project, I'd say.
As the people who are in the real world and also can control Free City, talk a little bit about the fun of getting to have one version of the character feed into the other and almost being like superheroes, right, within the world of Free City because you have that control with a keyboard in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, keys and mouse are sort of get to manipulate the world as we're inside of it, which is really exciting. When we run into Guy and we're trying to sort of apprehend him, we're literally playing the keys and moving the world all around him to create obstacles and problems for him to try and catch him, and it just so happens that we are maybe able to do so. I was like, wait, is this a giant spoiler? Any gamers, you're gonna see there's so many callbacks to the games that we know and love, and I don't wanna give any of them away because they're so special. And we have a lot of people from the gaming community that you're gonna be really excited to see in this film as well. It's definitely, as somebody who loves this world, who's like on a headset, you know, fighting with or playing with, you know, 13 to 90-year-olds every night for hours on end, to my wife's chagrin, is, yeah, I'd be at this movie day one to see it in the theater, so I'm just really grateful to be a part of it.
Now, Rel, obviously this is a big movie filled not just with comedy, but a ton of special effects as well. But I am curious to hear from you, what was kind of the comedic strategy on set, and where was the room for improv within these bigger set pieces as well?
Well, Sean did a good job of directing that. Like, I didn't have to just do a bunch of random stuff. But I think once you got into the world of the action, you could see stuff on the script, but then when you see behind you, and that's what y'all gonna see, that's fascinating. Outside of just watching the main characters, watch everything that goes on behind us. So we could be walking down the street and then you may see a random explosion, but we act like, oh, I see this every day, no big deal. So to see that in person, I'm a big movie fan, and I was told Sean this the first time we met, to see how all that happens was really fascinating, especially as a comedian, to see all these explosions and robberies happening. All this stuff is happening as we just walk down the street casually like it's not a big deal. So I thought that was fascinating. I think, it was fun to collaborate with Ryan Reynolds, man. I'm a big fan, so one of my favorite movies is definitely Maybe. I know it's random.
Deep cut. Wow.
I love that movie. So to actually, I remember the first day filming with Ryan, and he did one of his cool, sarcastic Ryan Reynolds lines. And I was just staring at him, and I had a line. It was like, "Real, you have a line." Oh! I was looking at his eyes as he delivered comedy. So this was a dream come true to work with Ryan, and to do it in an action comedy was so much fun, man. So thanks for letting me be a part of this.